Hi, I'm Lexi Lauer, and this is Educating Exceptional Students. My presentation is called Differentiating Instruction. So what is differentiating instruction? Differentiating instruction is, it's a way to reach students basically with different learning styles and different learning abilities. And it helps them absorb information and gives them kind of different ways of expressing what they have learned. And as a teacher, you basically observe the students and what they're picking up on. So what they're learning, what they're getting out of what you are teaching them, basically. And differentiating instruction just means that you are observing the student and understanding the differences and the similarities among the different students. On to the next slide. How do the teachers differentiate instruction? There are a lot of different ways that teachers can differentiate instruction. They can, let's see here, they can design lessons toward like different learning styles that students may have. A group of students, they might have shared interest, and you could group them together by their interest or their abilities, I guess. And also you would still assess the students' learning, and you would assess and adjust lessons to meet the students' needs. And then also you would recognize diverse learners. So how they experience reading, writing, thinking, problem solving, and speaking. And as a teacher, you should always assess and make sure your students are doing well. And also within the group work, you're going to group them together as on who they are, basically, what the students have in common, their shared interests, like I said earlier. Then you have the problem solving, so it encourages students to explore a bigger area and expand their understanding. And also, the teachers would offer students a choice in their reading and writing experiences and in what they do and they complete. So you're negotiating with the students, and teachers can have a better class to work with, and they can be more encouraging and motivating, that so students would be more interested, basically, and they have more of a say in what they prefer to do. How do teachers prepare their students in their classrooms for differentiated instruction? Well, I always say that organization is key, always. You're always gonna feel better about your classroom and your area when it's organized, I think. So being organized always helps me stay on task. And then I think you could move the furniture around to create more of like an instructional environment, and make sure that you have a secure environment, that your students feel safe while they're working, and just move the furniture around to suit your students' needs best. Create a place that's good for students to work in groups. I know that my teachers they had us work in groups quite a bit, and sometimes it would be chaotic and sometimes it would be a good thing. But so just stay organized. Make sure that you have like little tubs and things of that nature to make sure that you stay organized and on task, and then as well as arranging your classroom as it like in groups or things like that. because I think that students enjoy that. What does differentiated instruction look like in the classroom? I think that you would have like extra classroom activities, maybe different lessons taught in various ways that students could reach different students, I guess. And then connecting individual students and expanding their learning. And then also you would have storage, like easy access to supplies that they would know where the glue sticks are, the crayons, the markers, the craft supplies, or the learning supplies. You would move the tables to provide a safe community feel, and they will work together to cooperate with one another. And then you would have the student's desk arranged so that the students can work together and the teacher can observe them from that area. And then the teacher's desk usually is kind of at the front of the room, or where the students can see her all the time. And that's not always a bad thing, but you could kind of have your desk more secluded so you can still watch the students, but I think sometimes students might even get distracted by a teacher if she's at her desk. I know that some of the kids in my class did. But anyway, have the teacher's desk away from the student's desk. And then we have, so there were some common classroom practices at school, at your school, and then we had to explain why they weren't examples of differentiated practice, and then describe what the colleagues can do differently. So the teacher wasn't observing the student. The teacher didn't give a second chance after failing a test. Those are some of the examples of what wasn't differentiated practice. So anyway, the teacher wasn't observing the student and understanding the student because I felt like you would just be lecturing and not observing the student. And you always, I feel like we didn't have this enough when I was going to school, but like if a student totally fails a test, I think you should go to that student, ask them what their home life has been like lately, and just kind of have a talk with them to see maybe why they failed that test. To ask them and give them a fair chance to explain why they failed a test. Did they not have breakfast that day? Did they have something go on at home that prevented them from making a good grade on the test? And also, they weren't practicing differentiated practice because they weren't meeting the needs of the students and making their classroom different. They were doing basic requirements, and I feel like a lot of teachers do that because they want the state testing to be so good, and even the students test or stress out because of state testing. So I feel like if the teacher remains calm and makes sure that the students are let me see here. Make sure that the students are not stressing about state testing and just kind of making class a normalcy and not bringing up testing all the time, and just making sure that the needs of the students are met. And then also, when you group students together based on what happened last year, over a year, a lot of people have changed by then. So I think you should have a whole new grouping, kind of examine and watch the students and make a whole new set of groups, I think. So anyway, and I think that my colleagues that I have could observe the student, like I said, along with lecturing, because lecturing is good, that make things interesting for the students, and also give students a second chance to get another score on that test. I mean, even if you took a test you took the first score and you combined the next score on the second test together and gave them an average, that's better than not letting him retake the test. I say just let him get a second chance, find the reason why he made that grade, and then give a second chance on that. But I think that you can meet the needs of the student and then group them based on who they are this year and observe them, create a classroom of differentiation, and group those students together. And obviously, always do what's best for your students and what suits their needs. So anyway, I haven't really thought a lot about differentiated instruction. So this PowerPoint, I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel like I can incorporate a lot of this into my classroom. And I don't know, I really like this last slide because it made me think a lot about what I would do in that situation. So anyway, thank you, and I enjoyed it.